so eventually what happens is that the government is the most successful group of gangsters.
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
Doing
Larry,
great.
what's up?
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. What's the good news?
Living every day in life and liberty, of course.
We're trying to. It doesn't always work that way, but we keep trying.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's good to finally meet you, sir. We've actually been following along. I feel like I say this in almost every of our recent interviews. We've been following along with you for so long, ever since 2016.
Oh, so now I'm not special. You're like I say it to everybody.
No. We've actually just had a remarkable opportunity.
You say it to like everybody. So there's like some guy shows up on the street. You're like, we've been following you.
We've been following you for some time, sir. We're really happy to meet you. We've actually just had a really great opportunity. We recently spoke to Spike Cohen and Adam Kokesh. So and two other people that
all of our big inspirationalists.
So we're over here just kind of floating on cloud nine.
None of those people are as good looking as I am. I mean, that's the difference.
That's true. That's
right.
True.
I mean, there's an issue.
And half the charm,
Well, and also my modesty, which is really impressive.
I know. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yes. Well, thank you very much for agreeing to come on.
Of course.
We are local activists here in Wisconsin. We recently just started this podcast up. We're trying to, just give a voice to our local area and trying to spread the message of liberty, do the good work, as you said.
Sure.
And I think that you give a very unique perspective on how libertarianism can be approached by everyday people.
Sure.
And that's been one of the things that we've respected the most about you. I think if there's people coming in at an entry level, one of the first people I always suggest to them is Larry Sharpe.
Thank you.
A big part of that is, I think why we love you so much is because you bring this beautiful marriage between street smarts and principled philosophy.
Yes,
like
exactly.
you bring them
street
together.
Smart. I like that.
Well,
Smart.
you know how to marry them together
Yeah.
in a conversation.
You're right. Exactly. There's a certain matter of tact that comes into the way you approach it. So it's.
But then people get mad at me and say I'm not being hardcore enough or something, don't they? Don't I get that?
I think the people like that will find anything to complain about, though.
Maybe. So good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I try not to get too caught up in the level of radicalism. I like to joke that I'm a fairly radical person, but then I define radicalism as just different than what we have. So, I mean.
Well, I want to touch that piece. I mean, there are a lot of more mainstream libertarians like I am who are very much against the radical message or against the anarchist or against the ANCAPs or against the, insert the thing here, right? The audacious. Right. I'm not against any of them because people are going to find their message depending upon where they are.
Exactly.
So there's someone who you can yell, legalize recreational cocaine.
Yeah, right.
And someone's gonna hear that and be like, yeah. Someone's gonna be like, I don't like that. And we need to have multiple messages because different people are gonna hear different things at different times in their life. Exactly. I joke all the time and say, for me, it was Gary Johnson. That's where I was at that time in 2012 to hear that message from a guy who was an entrepreneur because I didn't want to hear about politicians. That's not what I wanted to hear.
Right.
I was not hearing them.
Right.
But he was a business guy, so him I could hear.
Right.
But, Gary Johnson's not for everyone, but he was for me.
Yeah,
exactly.
Same here.
Yeah.
He appealed to us as well in a certain way.
We loved Gary.
Yeah, definitely.
I
we
still love Gary.
Genuine guy.
I still do too.
Yes. I wish he was our president now.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be bombing Syria.
Nope.
Heard.
No, we would not. or with Joe Jorgensen, just saying. But it's funny you say that too. Actually, that's one of the things that there's a certain level of caucus infighting, if you will, that takes place. But I try to help remind people the whole purpose of the caucus is almost like lunchrooms in a high school. You find who you sit with. And, that's how you help develop your own personal identity and your confidence in that movement. And then you go sit at other tables and then you start talking to other people and you realize that even though there might be some differences, at the very base level of it, we're all seeking the same goal here, and we can kind of bridge that.
There's an old movie from the 70s called Cross of Iron.
Okay.
And what was so weird about this movie is it was an American-made movie, but it was about Germans fighting in Russia in World War II.
Okay.
That's an odd thing. Americans don't make war movies about other people fighting, right?
No, they don't. Yeah.
They make movies about Americans fighting, but this is actually an American-made movie about Russians and Germans fighting in World War II, and the American actors were the Germans.
That's very interesting.
Yes, that's a very weird, but that actually happened. And James Coburn, the actor from the 70s, was a sergeant named Steiner. That was the guy's name.
Okay.
And so as they're fighting in here, right? And it's the end of the war, and the Germans are getting their butt kicked, and the Russians are crossing. And when one of the German officers is mad at his seniors, he's like, "We keep fighting for nothing, the futility of war," right? And he says, "You know how hard it is to keep up morale after defeat, after defeat, after defeat, after defeat."
Right.
That's us.
Yes. Which actually
that's us.
That echoes Spike Cohen when we just spoke with him. One of the things he kind of spoke on was we've been in this cycle of losing instead of building a culture of winning. And when you have all these activists who really want to do a lot of good in this movement, like us, I mean, we just got sparked in 2016 and we have not stopped since. We've only been exponentially, growing in the movement. You have to give them obtainable goals that they can win at a local level. You have to help, meet them where they are, give them the resources and the networking and everything where they are, and grow that culture of winning from the base level. Because right now we're kind of just throwing things at this, presidential run. And it seems like it's burning a lot of people out. It's giving a lot of people this exhaustion. And
why I didn't want to run last year.
Right. Yeah. And, we would have supported you.
Dude, we were over here. We're like, that's it. It's Sharpe's all the way. He's got it.
No,
and then he was like, not running. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I understand, though. I understand.
And look, because to your point, right?
Yeah.
I don't want winning. You can't just say culture of winning, and you can't just say we'll give you stuff.
No.
That doesn't work.
No, right? Not like that.
You have to find the right people. And we have to have an actual candidate class.
Sure.
Which we don't actually have much of. We have a massive, we have a great activist class. I mean, amazing activist class. And we also have a pretty good volunteer class. The two parts we don't do well in is donor class. We get donor burnout very fast.
It's true.
We don't have that many heavy hitters. And candidate burnout. So we don't have a very good candidate class. We have people who run all the time. What you don't realize is I've only run one time.
Sure.
That's it. I've been around I've been a part of the party since 2012. I ran in 2018. I don't count 2016 as a run. That's me talking to a couple libertarians on the phone. That's not running a campaign,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And 2020 was me calling some libertarians on the phone and doing some podcasts. That's not running a campaign.
Right.
But I ran an actual campaign in 2018. Otherwise, I haven't run yet. I'm active. I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not running again. I'm trying to say to myself, I'm preparing myself for whenever that next run is. Most people don't know this, but when I ran, I did it full time. I didn't have a job. I didn't take a salary for a year and a half.
Right.
Yeah, I actually think I remember that. I think I remember you even producing a really great video. There was a really great video that broke down your past and everything.
Yep.
And, yeah,
I did not take a salary for a year and a half. And you might say, Larry, you're crazy. No, that's what it takes to do a statewide run.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, then don't run.
That's true.
Run for something else. Generally speaking, locally, it does not have to be a full-time job. There are some exceptions to that rule, obviously. Depends on where you are in your state.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, but generally speaking, a local race is not required to be full-time.
Right.
Generally speaking, a statewide race does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Generally speaking, that's not 100% rule, obviously. So what I'm saying is we need a better class of candidate that is in a position to do that. And a position doesn't mean they're wealthy. That's not what it means.
No.
It means they can raise money.
Yes.
That's critical. You don't have to be wealthy, right? I did write a check for $10,000 to my own campaign, but I also raised $500,000.
Nicely done.
Right.
I don't have $500,000 to put in my campaign. I wish I did. That'd be amazing.
Right.
I wish I did.
Absolutely.
I don't have that, right? But could I swing 10K? I could swing 10K.
Sure.
So I did. That's what I could have swung at that time.
Right.
I set myself up for that too. It wasn't like I was like, you know what, I'm running tomorrow.
Right.
No, I announced that my idea, literally election night 2016. So it was a year. I prepped myself for a year to make that run.
Right.
So November 2016, I said I was going to do something. And then January 2017, I ran. July 2017, I ran.
Right.
And that was about a year and a half. So I'm not saying everyone has to do that. I'm not.
But you have
All
to
I'm
take the
saying
right
is
steps.
we've got to start taking candidates more seriously,
Yes.
and we're not.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I
We
can
say it all
run
the time.
because I want to run. That's not good enough.
No.
And see,
That's
okay,
the conviction.
you talked a lot. You talked about how we have great volunteerists and great
Yep.
activists.
Yep.
And so, what if we ignite the marriage between those two, and we started combining those efforts? Like, okay, let's pop up a car wash, and then half the efforts go towards a local establishment of Boys and Girls Club or shelter, and then the other half goes towards running your local.
Candidate.
What do we?
I
don't know,
love what you're saying.
Service. What did we? We called the like running instead of city council, and you're a service member to the community. What is that?
Civil
word?
servant.
Civil servant. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Trying
Yeah.
to say.
You know what?
Absolutely.
I love the idea.
Yeah.
And if
And-
you do it, the point is what you're saying, you have to have an obvious purpose.
Yes.
Right.
Because for
Well-
the activist, the purpose is obvious. They're the activist,
Right.
but not for the volunteer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
this is
true.
where
There
it's
has to be a
like
greater good.
right.
Yes.
You know.
And when you're combining those two, you're not only
Which is like a
fulfilling
community
both
service.
avenues of that, but you're also bringing awareness to the community. What are they doing over there? What's going on? So then you wear libertarian apparel, or you're wearing like support this or a fun catchphrase on a shirt. And, and then you're bringing attention to your cause, and then more people. And then it's like, oh, well, we're working together to clean up the streets and fix the roads and provide daycare during crazy pandemics, or insert here.
Whatever, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. And,
I'm agreeing with you. I love
and then it
everything
just
you're saying.
grows. And then you have people that are like, hey, I want to step up and be a leader in this. And then the
I love
leaders
it.
will rise, and then the
And
candidates will rise.
One of the
and-
biggest things too, I think you touched on, was that you need to have, like you said, the political class in a sense of our movement. And one of the things that we realized, we actually started up our local affiliate this last summer. And through that process, there was a local farmer who was a libertarian, and he's always been looking, for more people in the community. And the moment we started up that affiliate, he was like, wow, there's other libertarians here. And since that moment, now him and I have been working closely together, and he's running for Congress. It spurred him to he wanted to step up and do something. And he wasn't even involved at the state level. He wasn't involved in the party. He wasn't involved at all in libertarian at anything.
The issue
It was
that we
just
have to
people
realize
stepping up
here
and
is
doing it.
We need, when most people begin any type of local affiliate, the first thing they want to do is organize. And that's actually a mistake.
Sure.
The first thing you want to do is create purpose.
Yeah, right. No, that's what we did.
Then you organize around the purpose. And you
Exactly.
had that. The farmer gave you purpose.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we had the purpose. We were out there, very vocal in our local community. We were starting to stand up and rise up. We were starting to make step meetings, hey, we're going to go to the
tagged
park.
a bunch of cars with
Yeah,
Gary's.
we tagged cars.
There
we
we
did
go.
door knocking. We did all the things. We did sign waving.
And
Actually, it was
that's
cool.
the glory of,
Yeah.
of a good candidate. Because a candidate, by default, becomes an easy purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't have a candidate, you can still find purpose. It's just more challenging, right?
Right.
To your point, let's help out, this cause. Let's help out that cause. You can still do it. Just candidates are easy if you got a good one, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Let's get behind Gary Johnson or whomever, right? That
Exactly.
makes it easier.
It
But
does.
I think you're getting it exactly right. When you have a purpose, now the activists are double excited.
Yes.
And now you can create systems to where the biggest difference between volunteers and activists. An activist, this is part of their life.
Yeah.
This is like
Yes.
part of their life. Like they get it, they're part of it, they're doing it. They're an activist. A volunteer is like, I got 2 hours I can give you on Saturday. What should I do?
Yes.
Right? That's like a volunteer. And there's a lot of and those are critical too.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The problem that we
love
often have is the activist doesn't always know how to talk to the volunteer, and the volunteer doesn't know how to talk to the activist.
Right. That's a great point.
So we have to make sure that we're clear, and the activist is like, I'm super excited. I can't assume volunteer knows what to do.
Yeah.
I know instinctively what to do because I'm an activist,
Exactly.
but the volunteer doesn't. So I got to say, volunteer, sit here, hold this sign and yell. Okay, that's right. Yeah. You sit here, hold the sign and yell for 2 hours, then you go home. Thanks.
Right.
Perfect. You yell for 2 hours and go home. Now we're good. But if you don't tell the volunteer that, they just kind of sit around like,
what do I do? Yeah.
That's why
my
I
purpose.
think giving the activists a purpose in the volunteers' passions too, because the volunteers have very specific things.
Leaders.
Right. The volunteers know what they want to volunteer for.
Yeah.
A bike race, a shelter, raising blankets, or,
But giving the activists the power to be able to direct those people. That's I'm going to be running as the LPWI chair this spring in April. And that's one of the things that's near and dear to my heart the most, is that we have so many beautiful activists in the state that are all doing things. They're all doing things on their own little levels. Nobody's telling them what to do. Like, we're products of that. And we need to help them be able to feel empowered in what they're already doing, and then they'll rise up even further and help other people see the light as well. And those volunteers, that need somebody to direct them, that activists will be, hey, I'm out there screaming, holding signs for these 2 hours on Saturday anyway.
Right.
You want to join me?
Right. Which kind of leads into like treating every year as a election year.
Right.
And so one of the efforts we were kind of thinking about was just getting a permanent office. Republicans, Democrats, they get a permanent office during election year. And then that's where you go and get all your apparel and, do your hooting and hollering. But if libertarians created just like a volunteer center, and then, that's where everybody can meet and have conversations and like disperse and organize and everything. And then you have a place that people can go always for information and to get involved.
Yeah, right. Becoming almost like the community center.
But to do that, almost always, you're going to have to engage your entrepreneurial class.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
For the donations.
You've got to have, also donations of money and also space, right?
Yes.
Many entrepreneurs have space they would give.
Right.
Right. They'll say, I got, whatever. I own this, commercial property here, and one storefront's open. It's yours. I'm not going to write you a check every month. Just go there rent free.
Right.
Right. They'll do stuff like that. Or the back of my, burger joint used to be a drive-thru. I don't have a drive-thru anymore. You can use that. I mean, they'll do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Right.
Or sometimes they'll actually write a check. They'll say, how much is that, that virtual place or whatever, or that, office place. Okay. Yeah. How much is that? X $1,000 a month? I'm in.
Right. Exactly.
So when you have the entrepreneurial class, you will see them begin to do more.
Right.
More and more and more.
And it seems like you engaged quite a lot too, since you had so many donations. What would you, give as advice for people who are looking to engage the entrepreneurial class? How did you engage the entrepreneurial class?
Absolutely. The number one thing is you want to do events in their establishments.
Okay.
I'm very serious. Okay, yeah. You want to do events. If you watched me run my campaign, I did almost like a diner tour. Right. I would go to diners, take a picture in front of them, promote them on my social media. And I began to engage them, and then they were they wanted me to come back. Right. They were like, no, do an event. Yeah. And I had someplace I would go to where I'd be in an event, which is a semi-private room. And some of the people who would hear what we're talking about, close enough, would get angry because, they want whatever the Democrat or Republican. Right. And the owner would come out and throw them out.
Hey.
Yes. Like, sorry, this is an event and they're here for this time. Paid for the space. And if you don't like it, then you got to go. And the funny part is, we didn't even pay for the space. They gave it to us. Oh, really? Yeah. It was in a sense, you were creating so much more extra business for them, though, and more. Absolutely. And eventually that wound up being a thing. It happened often. So, let them know you understand the plight of being an entrepreneur. What most people don't understand about entrepreneurs is it's lonely. Yeah.
Yes, actually, I mean, where we live is a peninsula of entrepreneurs.
It is. That's true.
It's like a beautiful free market that's being chokehold by the regulations.
The local and state government.
Yes.
So have you asked any of them to run for office?
There are a number of people that, as soon as we really spurred this up, there's a lot of interest, really. As soon as we kind of started building this, we kind of knew that it was this whole county, in a sense, is kind of just waiting for this to kind of happen. So
now let me tell you a way that you might want to look for somebody. You want to look for somebody who already has a managerial class in their business.
Right.
You don't want a guy or gal who runs her own business herself.
Right.
Right. If she has a CPA firm and it's her plus 5 CPAs, not a good choice. I'm serious.
No, yeah.
If it's her, 3 senior CPAs and 5 CPAs, perfect.
Right.
Because she can walk away. she has a class of people who can fix her business, right? But if she's running it herself with an iron fist, bad choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll be running for Door County Board, and I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I have all the time in the world to pump into it. She's running for Sturgeon Bay City Council. She's the manager of a business, but there's an owner who's also very much involved too, so it's not all on her shoulders.
So she's got it reversed.
Yeah, right.
Nice, I love it. Still works.
And Jake, the congressman, who's a farmer, his wife's very much involved, and he also has some people that are going to be helping out with his farm and stuff. So he's able to do it. So like, it's again, we totally understand, because it's not something you can just. And this is how we kind of live our life, and we talk about this all the time with libertarianism. But you can't just give it half. If you're going to do something, you have to give it everything, because otherwise, what's the purpose of doing it?
Yes.
You know, like you got to give it everything you are.
There's something else I want to add, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
That is, when you run, we understand that most of the time libertarians lose. We get that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But do you have another way of finding victory that isn't just the old, I want to give people a choice?
Right.
That's not a victory.
No. Yeah.
People don't want choice.
Yeah.
Truthfully,
people would absolutely take a benevolent dictator if they thought the dictator would solve their problems.
It's true. We've seen it. We've seen it time and time again.
Absolutely.
You're 100% like right.
So
there's
got
no
to be
denying
something else that you decide is a win.
For us too, like it really comes down to like in Door County, at least where we're going to be running, the people here have felt so unheard. They feel so like there's literally no voice for them whatsoever. There's a very our entire county is ran by the hospitality industry because it's a tourism oriented area. There's 2 million people a year that come through our tiny little county of 26,000 people.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And so this entire industry here is based around this like top down monopoly of these big mega hospitality industries, and all the locals here kind of get stomped on. They're the ones working the jobs. There's barely any housing, barely any pay, like people live off of government assistance everywhere. But then there's this beautiful free market of bartering, but like the local entrepreneurs barter between each other. Some people pay in cash to avoid taxes and stuff. Like it's a very, free market system that takes place under all of this.
Well, yeah. And then you still got the families, got their sons going and mowing lawns.
Exactly.
And shoveling.
The traditional old school, making a living kind of thing. So for us, the victory will come in to finally break through, because there's literally nobody here being that voice.
Right.
There's nobody here at all. There's nobody here challenging this. There's nobody here telling people, hey, you know what you're living under is crap.
Can you measure that in some way?
Well,
in other words, can you measure it in like a percentage of votes or a change in the policy of
that's probably what we
does win policy, or something like that? Is there a way you can measure that?
Yes, and that's probably more what we would see. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess a lot of where I'm trying to bring that conversation into play is when you are going door to door and you are talking and you're meeting and greeting with people. I'm kind of doing this three redirects and three positives. So like, what do you love about Door County? What is satisfying you? And then what is not? And then when we start talking about what is not, then we can talk about how do we fix that, turn that redirect into a positive. And then when you have those conversations rolling, and then your little sub communities are talking to the communities, because everybody's meeting and greeting. And then that's how you grow a conversation. And so it's not so much like I'm going in because I know I'm going to get city council, and then I know I'm going to get, whatever. I'm going in to plant seeds and help nourish a soil. Yeah. So I want to plant the seed of like, hey, we're all oppressed here. And then it's nourishing the soil through all the activism and all the community building that brings everybody together. That realizes, hey, we are the power. We can rise above and we can do this.
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
What I mean though is you want to have some form of obvious scoreboard. And what I mean by is, let's say, for example, the guy who's going to win, right? You're either blue or red, and I live in a very blue city, so the Democrat always wins, right? So whatever, right? So in my world, what I would say is, all right, I can't be a Democrat. It's not going to happen in my city, but could I get the Democrat to start talking about a libertarian issue?
Right.
And if the Democrat talks about a libertarian issue, I would say, see, I'm winning.
Yes, absolutely.
Something like that, right? So if I say, if the Democrat prior to me, say for example, cannabis was not even on her radar.
Yes.
And then she wins. He talks about cannabis. That's me.
Yes, that was me in there. Exactly.
Right. That was me.
Yes.
We won.
Yes.
So
it's
I'm saying like something like that is still, and I don't know if that works in your world. That may not be good for your world.
It does in some regards. It definitely does. And honestly, it actually rings a bell to 2020's overall election cycle. I think libertarianism won more than it lost this election cycle because of a lot of the laws, like Oregon going almost completely decriminalizing all drugs. And like there were so many things across the board where libertarianism as an idea actually won more than it lost.
Right.
Even though maybe our politicians didn't win at the election booth.
I don't know. We were on lockdown the entire year for most
I don't mean
of the country,
for that.
And I think there's a bunch
that
of us
wasn't part of the
still on
election.
lockdown.
That was extra election.
I think it was.
I mean, as far as like even on the
was.
local level, as far as the 2020 election went this November, you saw so many local candidates that got elected in that were not pro mandate, that were not pro mask, they weren't pro, they weren't. That's what I'm saying. You saw a lot of the people at the election booth show up and say, this last year was garbage. We can't have the government running our lives like this. Definitely, we saw the government enacting things that were above and beyond almost anything we've seen before. Yeah. I'm just meaning the people kind of showed up at the end of this and were like, the presidential has always been kind of a fraud as it is. And we do not support Donald Trump. Let's just precursor that right now. But I think it's always been a fraud as it is. So I've never really looked at the presidential election as like a indication of where the American people are. But when you look at the local, propositions that were passed in cities and the people that got elected in at local offices and some of these things that were taking place, that's where I see a shift more back towards individual liberty and coming back towards localization and things like that, that are kind of playing out that I think we as a libertarian movement really need to harness more, like it's happening.
I don't know if we're taking credit for it at all.
Right, where we should.
I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I look at, the average, I look at the average American and they still don't know what we stand for.
Right.
I don't think they give us credit for the cannabis, legalization, cannabis discrimination at all. I don't think they do.
Should. Or gay marriage,
Nothing.
Like
I don't think they give us credit for any of that. I mean, I look at what's happening now in my state of New York.
Yes.
Cuomo getting destroyed. I talked about this for a year and a half.
Yes.
I said it's all going to happen. I said he was a bully. I expressed how bad he was.
Yes, you did. I remember it all. And actually, when this just came out, I was like, Larry Sharpe.
I've been saying this. And literally, I can't get a mainstream media person to talk to me.
That's so ridiculous.
They don't care. They're like, no, he's just a bad guy. But now it's Democrats policing their own.
Oh, yeah. Now they
That's
get to
what
decide
it
what
is.
his punishment is. Yes.
Yes. Exactly. Now it's Democrats policing their own.
Right. It's like with Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, like all of them get policed by the people who are also part of the problem.
Correct. Yes. So I see what you're saying, but we're not doing, we as a group, I don't mean we, meaning me and you.
Yes. I know what you mean.
I mean, we as a movement, we're not getting credit right now.
Yeah. Right.
And I will go back to what I've been saying and what I learned during my run more than anything. The answer is the same. Be more popular.
Yeah.
Right.
True. Very true. And the only way to do that is to be out there in your community, honestly.
Yes. Yep.
For all of his personal or his political downfalls, Andrew Yang's doing an amazing job right now for mayor. I've been watching him slightly in New York there. He's been going on the streets, talking to people, going like business like you did, exactly like you did, honestly. And it makes a major impact, and
he is the front runner right now.
Yeah, right.
He's a front runner. Yeah. Unless and Cuomo's damage actually makes Yang more powerful.
Right.
Because the only person who could have stopped Yang was the governor.
Right.
He had that much power as he runs he runs Democratic Party with an iron fist. That's why some people were afraid of him. So, and that's why the second things went wrong and they thought we got him, they turned on him because they always hated him. They always hated him.
Yeah, and so, the Democrats love to cannibalize their own. They really
But he's a bad guy, right?
He is.
If for those of you who may not know, I have 3 winners in my world. I have Cuomo, who is my governor. I have de Blasio, who is my mayor. And I have AOC, who is my congressperson. Trifecta. So in any case, I accept
it must be terrible living in that area of yours.
So, but
I'm virtually hugging you, Larry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. But there's a difference between de Blasio and Cuomo. While both are terrible, de Blasio is actually a true believer. Like, he really believes. Okay. Like, look, Tony, I know I took 60% of your money, but if I just could get 90%. Then I would give
Bernie
you,
Sanders.
Yes, then I would be able to give you that utopia, that social utopia that I've been talking about for years.
Right.
So 30% more of your money, and it's here. Look, one more gulag is all just one more. One more. That's
just
it.
One more.
And then we got the socialist utopia I've been telling you about forever. Like, he really believes that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Cuomo doesn't. Cuomo would become a Republican tomorrow if he thought he'd get elected.
Sure, right.
Just wants power.
Exactly. He's an opportunist.
Correct.
Yeah.
He's just a bad person. That's all he is. In theory, not in practice, but in theory, de Blasio could be turned.
Sure.
Because he's a true believer.
Sure.
Cuomo
he just has to believe in the right thing.
Correct. Cuomo can't be turned. He's just a bad guy.
Yeah, right.
And that's why de Blasio turned on him so quickly, because in de Blasio's mind, my governor, Cuomo, is a heretic.
Right.
Right.
And he wants to burn the heretic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why he turned so quick. I can burn the heretic. He's not a true believer. Burn the witch.
Yeah.
Right. That's what he wants.
Yes.
He wants to burn accurate right now. So because he's a true believer.
Quite honestly, too, I think a lot of the like progressive left that exists in the Democratic Party are a lot like that. Like even AOC, in many ways, like they are ready to turn on that Democratic establishment every single chance they'll give them. You know, they're just waiting. Like I said, the Democratic Party loves to cannibalize themselves in that way. You know, because I think the far left faction has been so disappointed for so long that the central establishment left doesn't really want to give them any of the things they really truly want.
Well, this is the glory of how good the establishment Democrats are. They're very good. The Republican establishment is, I'm surprised by how incompetent they are.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
They're really, Democrat establishment's way better than they are. Democrats know that the last chance they had to bring their guy in was to use Trump as the boogeyman.
Right.
And it worked perfectly.
It did.
It just did. They were like,
fluidly.
I know you don't like us, but Trump. And they were like, but we hate Trump. See? So you got to give us Biden. That's the way we stop evil Trump. If you watch left-leaning media now, they still constantly bring up Trump.
Yep.
Because they're trying to.
They need to.
Yes. Just stay. Don't know. I know we didn't give you the stuff you said, but Trump is still here.
He's still doing stuff.
He's doing stuff. He's scary. He's still scary. He's saying bad stuff. So they're still doing it. And at one point, the Democrats are going to just not care. At one point, they're not.
It's true.
That point is not now.
No, and I think honestly, we've been talking. I think it'll come really around the 2022 area, because 2022 is going to be a defining point in politics with a lot of the Trump-leaning Republicans.
Yep.
The whole factionism between the Republican Party is going to really have to come to a head of like, where does it all draw the line? And then that's when the left is going to have to like really define who is their bad guy. You know, is it the establishment Republicans that are going to break from Trump, or is it this like tiny little faction of Trumpsters that aren't even going to be a real threat? You know,
I don't even know. I kind of feel bad for the Republicans to establish it in a way, just because I know when Trump lost the election, they were like, finally, we got rid of this guy. Whoo! Yeah. We can go back to Mitt Romney. We can go back to the old school. We can go back to being neocons. Woo! Glad that craziness is over. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, he's not gone.
Yeah.
Damn it. What happened?
No, and we lost a third of our party. What?
Damn. So yes, they're like, what happened? The Democrats, they got to get rid of their people. They get to be establishment. How come we can't be establishment? So now they're all mad now.
Because Trump was a big old orange wrecking ball. That's why.
That's true. Absolutely. Whether you like Trump or hate Trump, he was the rebel and still is.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And whether that was intentional or unintentional, who knows? You know, really. I mean, that's to be seen, really. But
yeah. And see, I'm over here like, was that the Republicans' way to do it after Obama? like, but, I know, like, because they always talked about Obama, almost like the Democrats are talking about Trump now,
It's true. There was that kind of like,
well, Obama did that, so Trump's got to fix it all because of Obama.
That idolatry definitely existed during the Obama reign, and Trump was kind of the swinging of the pendulum.
It went
going.
You got to remember something here, right? America was screaming for a rebel.
Yes.
Since 2006 or so.
Yes.
It was screaming for a rebel.
They have.
And
I brought this point up during the campaign.
Yeah. And America believed falsely that Obama was the rebel.
Yep.
He wasn't, but they believed he was.
Yes.
So they were like, well, Obama, he's the rebel, right?
He was the outsider.
He was the outsider. So this guy will win. Yeah, he's going to change it all. He's our savior. And America bought it.
Yep.
And we got Obama. And then Republicans didn't get that America wanted a rebel. So they literally put up against Obama the most establishment people they could possibly find.
Yep.
And of course, Obama beat both of them, right?
Yep.
Because the Republicans said, who's the most establishment person possible? McCain.
Yeah.
Let's do that. McCain didn't work. Romney, way different.
Oh yeah, that'll
put him up.
Yeah.
And of course, both lost.
Yeah.
Now, by 2016, Democrats still wanted a rebel, and their rebel was Bernie.
Yep.
Yes.
But the establishment Democrats, their party system said, no
way.
You
not ready for that. Not happening.
Can't do that.
No.
Look, you plebes, you don't get to decide stuff around here. We do.
Yeah.
So they set up the system, got rid of Bernie, and that actually helped Trump tremendously.
It did.
Because about, give or take, the Bernie bros broke up into about 3. A third of them said, I'm out. I'm done.
Entirely.
I'm not even voting. I don't care. It's crooked. I don't care. A third held their nose and voted for Hillary.
Yep.
And about a third went Trump.
Yep.
And people were like, why? How could you go Bernie to Trump? And I said back then, and it's common even now, a lot of people who supported Bernie didn't know what his policies were. They just knew he was the rebel guy who hated the system.
He was anti-establishment.
He was anti-establishment. So when Bernie got robbed, they went to the other guy who was anti-establishment, which was Trump. And they didn't know. They were like, he says like great stuff. That guy.
Right.
And that was it. And I know because I was that guy. I was the guy in 2000 thinking Ralph Nader was going to change it all. I voted Nader in 2000. I know I'm embarrassed to say it. But I did.
No reason to be embarrassed.
And then I voted Nader again in 2004 thinking, this is the time. Yeah, and if you would ask me one of Nader's policies, I still don't know.
Yeah, I understand there's something about the budget. I know that. I knew that was something big about it. But
the thing that got me to be forward, the thing that turned me on Nader was he said something once which really affected me. He said, how do you define yourself? If you were to ask someone a question, tell me who you are, how do you define yourself? And many people would start with things like, I'm a father, or I'm a sister, or something. They would start that. They might go down their religion. I'm a Christian, or I'm a Muslim. They might go down that road on what they would say on who they are. I'm a Yankees fan, or I'm a whatever, right?
Other identities.
Yes, they would decide. But he said, at what point do you say, I am a citizen? And where does that, on your list, where is that number 1?
Yeah.
Is that 100? And his point was, citizen is far too low for most Americans. It's got to be higher.
Yes.
Because citizen is the one thing that we all are.
Yes.
We're not all fathers or all sisters or all Christians or all, insert Yankee fans. We all should be Yankee fans. But we aren't all Yankee fans, right? We aren't all those things.
Yeah.
But we're all citizens. And that's the thing that unites all of us. So where is that? The lower that is, the more divided we are.
That's beautiful.
And I was like, I don't know what you stand for, but I'm in.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm over here like, I'm going door to door and I'm going to ask everybody that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes. I love that actually. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for planting that seed in us because I love it.
There we go. Yeah. That's what got me on Nader in 2000.
Yeah. That's great.
That was it. So, but my point was now 2016 comes and we get Trump. Well, the pendulum swung back.
Yes, it did.
Now we were like, do we really want more of this? And I think the biggest thing, believe it or not, was COVID lockdowns. Because COVID lockdowns, I think, is my opinion, is why Trump lost.
Sure.
I think that's the reason. Because COVID lockdowns made people just want to go back to what they thought was normal.
Yes, right.
And Trump wasn't that. And Biden was.
Yeah, and the media too and the media this entire time has obviously been a very influential, tool, but the media did a very good job of pinning a lot of the woes of what people were feeling on Trump's inability to handle the virus.
Absolutely.
And so it was like, get rid of him, get rid of the problem, go back to normal life.
Absolutely. And to be forward, whether you like what Trump did or not.
Yeah, right.
He gets the blame. That's how it works.
100%. Exactly.
Fair or unfair, he gets the blame.
Same with like George Bush during September 11th.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing.
It's how it works.
He just gets the blame.
Yes.
And exactly. And I think too, with your point of like saying in 2000, with Obama, they wanted the rebel, the outsider. They tried to go with it for the left. It didn't work. In 2016, they did the same thing with Trump. They went with the right. A lot of Trumpsters woke up in the first couple of years to the fact that he was just as establishment as any other president, just in his own little quirky ways. So, there were a lot of people that were like, okay, well, this doesn't work either. Those same people that were seeking the rebel. And that's where I had even like during the campaign for Joe Jorgensen, I was like, obviously I understood that there was a lot of factors going against us as a party, us as a movement, her as a candidate. And, maybe whatever your opinions of her as a person and a candidate are, whether she was strong or weak, the overall idea that I had in mind was this 2020 election would have been the swinging of the pendulum towards us had these other factors, in a sense, not been there.
No, there's one reason why we didn't do well. And that's because her campaign was boring.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
That's the reason.
To a degree is like, if we could have encapsulated on the fact of all of this pain that people were going through this year
I agree.
Really harness that. That's where like the pendulum was supposed to swing back to us, because it tried the left. The rebels tried the left, didn't work. They tried the right with Trump, it didn't work. And we could have been there saying, no, you know what? This whole time we've been the real rebels. We've been the ones with the real revolution that hasn't been televised.
We didn't do that well at all. We didn't do that well at all. And the problem is you had Trump, who was still a rebel, but not rebel enough to be forward with you.
Right.
Well, that mean wasn't. And Biden, who was literally the poster child for establishment. He's basically a nicer Hillary.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, is what he is. He talks nicer than Hillary does. He does. He talks nicer. He's more empathetic, than Hillary. True, he is.
Neither of them can live up to Obama as far as the way he's.
No, I agree. But he's the advantage to Biden is that he's not a big personality. Right. Trump's a big personality.
Yes,
so that means
too much to swallow for some
people. Easy to love and very easy to hate.
Yes.
Big personalities are easy to love and easy to hate.
Biden is so vanilla.
Yeah. Most people don't love or hate him. The right goes, but they don't hate him. And the left goes, he's not Trump. He's not Trump. It's true. It's
so true.
Yeah. That's kind of what it is. It's hard. But who's going to suffer if Kamala runs? Yeah. Big personality. Yeah. Easy to love, easy to hate.
Yep, that's true.
Very easy to love, very easy to hate.
It's very true.
Biden's just very
whatever. I'll just keep saying yes.
Yeah. But of course, his policies, right back to bombing.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
Right back to neocon, right back to it.
I can't believe how many people don't see that. Like the moment he gets into office, gas prices skyrocket. We go right back into war. All this talk, like so many of these things.
At this point, I'm just like, what aren't you seeing? What?
I tell you what they're seeing. CNN keeps throwing out Trump.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what happens. They keep throwing. See, don't look over here. Orange Man is still here. Yeah. Don't forget that bombing. Shh, nobody's bombing. Orange Man is right here again.
I don't know how much of a conspiracy theorist you are there, Larry Sharpe, but do you think that's intentional? Do you think it's all a big intentional game? I don't know what that's kind of a broad statement.
Okay, here's
I'll narrow it down. I like to delve, not to commit, but to delve into conspiracy for fun, really entertainment. Okay. So in my mind, I like to, piece things together. What I saw leading up to Trumpism was a lot of people really tired, like you said, of the establishment. They wanted out. Trump seemed to give that to a lot of people. I mean, he won, you know what I mean? And so, however, he was a lifelong Democrat. He rubbed shoulders with Hillary Clinton and all these elitists. He's been part of this circle forever. And a lot of the very people that bemoaned and hated him had supported him just years before. So in my, conspiracy theory, fun brain, what if they told him, like, play this figure, go and play this card. We need to bring this fold of people back in. We need these people who have been diverted from the establishment to welcome it back in, but we need somebody who connects with them in a way. And he is so just brash.
I think that happened, but not from who you think it happened from.
Sure. Okay.
In other words, yes, I think that happened, but it wasn't the establishment that did it.
Okay.
It was the guys like Bannon and Breitbart and guys like that.
Sure, like the
It was
neocons.
those types of guys.
Yeah.
Who were like, they realized the same thing I realized, particularly after 2008. After 2008, particularly, the country has been leaning left.
Yeah.
It's been going more and more and more left.
Yep.
And the major reason why, there's many reasons, but the biggest reason is urbanization.
Right.
After the crash, there was no real recovery outside of cities.
No
recovery.
From rural areas. Yeah.
Yes. So there's no real recovery. There was no real reinvestment into small towns or nothing. No, right? Most towns, if you leave the cities, are like one big thing, like one big hotel or one big prison or one big college or one big thing, right?
Yeah, and everything surrounds that.
Yeah, and a bunch of franchises.
Yep.
Very few privately owned things. Most of them are gas station franchises, Subway franchises, that type of thing. A Dollar General everywhere. That style, right? Is what most small towns outside of cities are. In fact, since 2008, 80% of all new jobs in America have come out of 20 cities.
Wow.
That's it, 20 cities. So when that happens, when you urbanize, you by default become more left.
Yes.
Why? Because you have one building, we live on top of each other. You said that there are 26,000 people in your
the entire county.
Yeah. 2.1 million in mine.
In your county.
My county.
Yeah. In our city, there's like
million.
8,000. Yeah.
That's like your whole county comes to our county in the tourism season, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, no, but New York City, you know how many people come in and out of New York City every day? 1 million every day.
Oh my gosh.
Every day.
I think Wisconsin as a whole state has about 5 million people. So that's,
people come into New York City. I'm sorry, prior to COVID.
5 days.
The wave that comes into New York City and out, both business and tourism, just into New York City during non-COVID days is 1 million people per day.
Yeah,
so
we've never been.
4 million use our metro system every day.
That's
4
crazy.
million. So yes, so when you move into that type of city, you're living on top of each other.
Yeah.
Right? 1 square mile of Manhattan, 60,000 people.
Holy camole.
1 square mile, 6,000 people.
Woo. We're the thumb of Wisconsin. We're one of the biggest counties. 26,000 through the whole county.
There you go. Yes. So what my point being, when you have that kind of environment, people by default, they don't know each other. They're different places. Somebody's been here 3 weeks. Somebody's been here 30 years.
Right.
So there's no cultural reasons and rules to stop people from doing bad things.
Sure.
So what do? We beg for a referee. The referee, government.
Right.
So we beg for more government. We just beg for it. We beg for more government. And we do. Right? So when you move to cities, you become more left. It's what happens.
Right.
Now, what might happen now is with the COVID response, a lot of people are leaving cities now.
Yeah, they are.
So there is an opportunity now, which no one talks about, which I keep trying to talk about. No one's listening. There is an opportunity now for renaissance in both rural and suburban areas.
Yes.
As the people with money move out of the city and know they can do the same work, not having lived in the city anymore, they bring that money out and still want services and still want cool stuff. And so someone's got to deliver it.
Yes, they do.
Right? And a lot of people also, they want things like farm to table. Farmers can just kill it now. What rich Wall Streeter now comes out to the area and is like, I have enough cash for you to deliver farm fresh food to my house every day. Farmers are like, I'm in.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Actually,
I am totally in.
Kind of got a plan like that.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there are people in our county
There's a chance for renaissance. And on top of that, what should happen is as people move out to those suburbs and rural areas, they should move and become more right-leaning.
They will actually.
They should move more towards the right because it's a different environment.
Right.
It's a different culture. People are shaped by their culture. Now, the argument I get is, no, Larry, it's not true. People move from California to Texas and turn in Texas blue because they're moving city to city.
True.
They're going from San Francisco to Austin. So what? Blue to blue. Yeah. But if you move San Francisco to the outskirts of West Texas, you might change.
You will, because you'll need a gun to protect yourself from coyotes.
Yes, you will. Yes.
And now all of a sudden you understand self-defense. You know,
the New York City police force, 40,000 cops.
That's insane to me.
The police force.
We have like what?
40,000 cops.
15.
Yeah, right.
40,000.
Like literally, I think we have between like 15 and 20, maybe.
Yes.
I can't imagine we have much more than that.
Our budget for our cops, just for our cops in our city, $6 billion.
Holy.
Yes.
Holy.
The city.
When you
just the
quantify
city.
that's insane.
Yes, that's why I tell you these numbers. The city budget, 90 billion. That's more than a bunch of countries.
Yeah.
Yes, 90 billion,
crazy.
Just New York City.
This is why, like, eventually I do believe in the idea of like localization will prevail. Like, there's nothing. New York City of itself should be its own entity. It shouldn't even be defined by New York state law, for Christ's sake.
It's big. The population of New York City is bigger than 40 states.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
It should be its own entity.
Correct.
It should be its own country.
There's 4 countries in Scandinavia, right?
Yeah.
Only Sweden has more people than New York City.
That's just crazy. Yeah.
New York City has more people than Denmark, Finland, and Norway. Only Sweden has more people than we do. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So just so you understand what I'm talking about, I get it. I'm born here.
Yeah.
Right. I'm born here.
Lived there the whole time.
Yeah. I didn't live there the whole time. I went away when I was in Marine Corps.
Okay. So you got to see other areas too. And
absolutely. Yes. 100%. So I tell you that just for scale, for people who are, when you come into this city, you start becoming more left. It's what people do.
And that, I try to help people understand too with libertarianism. We really, truly, as libertarians, want a libertarian federal government because it allows that localization to blossom in the way it needs to. If New York needs a more left-leaning government to take care of the problems New York needs, they can vote that in New York.
I agree. I said, let Brooklyn be Brooklyn.
Exactly. Yes.
Let Brooklyn be Brooklyn.
Locally that way. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
100%.
Because New York State doesn't know the woes of Brooklyn. Brooklyn knows the woes of Brooklyn.
Absolutely. And New York State, by the way, is a very diverse state. We have counties that have only 26,000 people in them. We do.
Right. Exactly.
In fact, our smallest county has 4,500 people in it.
Right. Right.
That's how diverse we are. Hamilton County has 4,500 people. Sure. And Brooklyn is our biggest, 2.3 million.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a diverse state.
There. That's cool.
Yes.
I mean, it is cool because, for a state, that adds a very diverse conversation. It
does.
It does.
Absolutely.
But that's where it should almost end, is just that conversation and not dictate and mandate. That's where it ends 100%. Up becoming,
100%.
But
I said the funny part is when I would cross the state, a lot of people would still like me, even though, I'm from the city. Why? Because I would respect them.
Yeah.
I'd respect them. I didn't put on a cowboy hat and go, yeehaw. I didn't try to do that. That's not who I am. That's silly. Right. I came in, I showed up. I'm a city boy. It's who I am. It's fine. Yeah. And you're not. And it's fine. It's good. Exactly. Both are good.
Yeah, it's fine. Good. Exactly. There's no problem with it. And actually, to echo something we said at the beginning, that's something we respect about you and we enjoy to do as well. Meet people where they are.
Yes.
You can have we can be totally different people. You are from New York, I'm from Iowa actually originally, and she's from Wisconsin. We are from different environments entirely, but we can still sit down and have a conversation.
100%.
We don't have to agree on everything.
This is why I try to tell people that the liberty movement actually isn't about freedom or liberty. It isn't.
Yes.
It's about happiness.
Sure.
That's really what it's about.
Yeah, and what you define that as yourself.
And how do the pursuit of happiness is what our divorce papers from the UK said. Right? Our divorce papers said right on it. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That's what it said on it, right? Like, I'm not gonna be like you, Dad. I'm gonna be better. Right? As we left home. Right. So we got mad and we left.
Right.
But now we've become our father.
Yes, we have.
We've become the empire. We are the empire now. Yeah. We fight in the Middle East like Dad did. We fight in Afghanistan like Dad did. We're the largest empire in the world like Dad did. Yeah. Right? We're the largest navy in the world like Dad did. We're just like Dad. We have imperial, everything.
But the whole time swearing, I'm nothing like him.
That's correct. I'm not like my dad. Exactly. Yeah, you are.
And poking fun at him over there.
But my point being, freedom is how people are able to pursue happiness the way they choose to pursue.
Yes, exactly.
Without freedom, you can't pursue happiness.
Yes.
And the funny part is if you look at your own life, you'll know that you've both gained and lost happiness throughout your life.
That's true. Absolutely.
You've had it, you've lost it, you've chased it again, you failed, you chased it, you got it. you lost it, you chased it again. It's what we do.
And we've learned that the moment you actually give up chasing it is sometimes the best times it finds you.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, it's a choice you have to make. At one point you go, I'm done.
Yeah.
And it hits you.
Yep.
And some people like the chase.
It's true. It's true. And it becomes almost exhilarating, a game for them, to chase that happiness, to go for the next thing.
Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier too, the idea, we actually say all the time that libertarianism for us is less of a political movement, more of a lifestyle. We've realized that, we actually came from an idea of mental libertarianism before we came to political libertarianism. It was more like we understood respecting everybody else's individual, boundaries and lifestyles, and coming to this understanding of like, well, what's our purpose in that? And how do we have, a value in this world? And how do we make impact? And how do we help other people understand this self-autonomy and responsibility and accountability and all these things? And then it was like libertarianism, then it was, wait, there's already kind of a vehicle that's on the road and we can kind of just get in it and, make our own pathway in it. But this exists. But like, that's kind of what you're getting at.
The only problem is a dumpster fire. And it's on wheels, but it's a dumpster on fire. But it's on wheels. You're right. It is.
If you're in the right mindset, you can really envision it's a very beautiful Firebird. Okay, it doesn't have to be.
Look, I'm on it. I'm on it, trying to put the fires out. Right, I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm trying to put the fire out. I'm with you in the same dumpster. Yeah. Trying to throw the garbage out and put the fire out. I'm trying to help. I'm with you. Yes,
we
absolutely.
Appreciate that. We appreciate that.
But no, I get your point, because I came from a similar way in that I came from business.
Right.
People ask, Larry, how'd you get in to the movement and then immediately be able to speak well about it? Because I'd been teaching it in business for years.
Right.
And I was teaching post-industrial leadership since 2008, give or take. Mm-hmm. So when I heard Gary John's 2012, I was like, oh, this is what I'm teaching.
So
I'm already teaching this, so I'm good. I actually came to the whole world through Robert Ringer.
Okay.
Robert Ringer is a business guru who wrote the book Looking Out for Number One. Nothing happens until nothing happens till somebody moves, and to be or not to be intimidated. And he's actually an objectivist. He's not a libertarian. He's an objectivist.
Sure, like Ayn Rand.
Yes, okay. He's a big Rander. Loves her. I'm not an objectivist.
Right.
But he asked me, not personally, but through his writings, I would read his blogs and his stuff. He was like, you got to read Atlas Shrugged. So I'm like, all right. So I read it. And when I read Atlas Shrugged, I was like, oh, so maybe government isn't the answer for everything.
Yeah,
what?
Right. Hey,
oh my God.
Now that you've read Atlas Shrugged, I had this theory that she wrote about the start of the destruction of government. When government started taking over and encroaching in on the people, and they were suffering under taxes and everything.
Like back in the 30s and 40s.
Yes, back in the 30s and 40s. Like almost like the start of the pathway of where we are right now. Like when somebody says, how did we get here? Where did we start? Just read Atlas Shrugged. I swear she wrote about it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Okay. I think you're right. I'm embarrassed. I watched the movies.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with that. She did the audio.
I didn't know that they created that until I
did the book too. I own the book, and I then watched it. I watched the movies because my wife wouldn't read the book, but she watched the movies. So.
It is quite a monumental feat to get through the book.
I listened to the book.
It is, and that's kind of what puts some people off, in a sense. So if you are somebody who is interested in it, but you don't want to go through that feat, the movie is there's nothing to be ashamed about, like if you want to still ingest the ideas there, it's still.
Okay, now let me tell you what was embarrassing. I saw the movie in the theaters when it came out.
Nice.
Okay.
There were 7 of us in the entire theater. That's what was bad. Literally 7 of us in the theater. 7.
Hey, there wasn't just one.
It wasn't one. There was 7 of us in the entire theater. I was like,
that's cool.
Okay, didn't think it was gonna be that bad. So yes.
Yeah. She works for a local business here that actually puts Ayn Rand books in their Airbnbs on the shelf. Do. So, like seed planting, right?
There we go. Absolutely. So I get what you're saying completely. I didn't come through, many people in the movement came through someone like, Ron Paul or someone like that, right? Yeah. That's not me. I came through business and then Gary Johnson. And I only could hear Gary Johnson because Gary Johnson was a businessman. And I could hear that.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. We actually came into Gary Johnson, I would say, for his proponent, I guess, championism of cannabis, because we're also very, pro decriminalization. And so it was nice to see somebody, and we were, in the younger state of mind. So that was something that we cared more about than other things.
Sure.
But then through that, kind of like ice breaking, woken more to the idea of these. I had been following other libertarians like Tom Woods and Ron Paul and stuff, but never really was sold on the party. It was Gary's approach that definitely sold me on the party itself, and like,
right.
We really loved his open door policy he did with New Mexico.
Yeah, that too, and like, and just a lot of the things he was saying during his campaign run just were very down to earth. He seemed like such a very easygoing, human being that had some really just. I'll
give you a couple good. You want to hear a couple of good Gary stories?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'd love it.
All right. I'm a big Gary Johnson fan, and when I was going to run for VP in 2016, I had breakfast with him here in Manhattan. Brought my daughter with me. And we're talking, and I told him, I said, Governor, I always call him Governor. I said, Governor, I want to be your VP. You know what he told me? He said, Larry, I don't want you to be my VP. And you say, wow, what a jerk. No, because he was honest.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. I said, do you want me to drop out? You want me to drop out? I won't run. I'll stop. Tell me, Governor, and I won't run. You know what he told me? He said, no, Larry, you should run. You'll raise the bar.
Yes.
Wow.
That's the kind of man Gary Johnson is.
Yeah.
That he could have just told me, Larry, don't run, I don't want you. And I would not have run in 2016.
Sure.
I would have dropped out right away.
Right.
But he said, no, you should run. You'll raise the bar.
Yeah.
That's the kind of man Gary Johnson is.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, and in a sense, it sounds like he didn't want you to be his VP because he wanted you, like you said, to raise the bar, like.
But he could have just, most people would have said, Larry, don't. I'll put you on my team. Go do this, blah, blah, blah. Promise me some lie and screw me in the end. That's the norm.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. And something else that he did, which I thought was really good. He was talking about how he would, talk to judges. And he would say when he was looking for a judge in New Mexico, he would ask them a question. He would say, hey, let's pretend for a second, hypothetical. The legislature passes a law that if a 17-year-old or older is convicted of graffiti, the mandatory sentence is death, execution. They passed that law. You're sitting in criminal court, jury convicts 17-year-old of graffiti. You have to now, by law, sentence him to death. What do you do? And he told me that the only answer that he wouldn't accept is convict them and sentence them to execution. Right. That anything else, if he said, well, I would look through and find a loophole, or well, I would recuse myself, or I would resign, whatever. Any answer was fine, except the law's the law. We have to execute him.
Yes.
Exactly.
That guy's out.
Beautiful thing.
That guy's out.
Yes.
That's Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
Good man. I wish he was president now. Good man.
Yes.
Too. I know. And that just solidifies, honestly, those two stories solidify a lot of the, indication that we had from him.
Some people were like, oh, Gary. And they're like, no, he was an honest, genuine, hardworking, healthy, like.
Look, I'm not saying he was our best candidate. I'm not fooling myself.
No. And that's
what I'm saying. He's a good man.
Yeah, and it's not making him an idol.
Person. He's a good man, a good person.
Exactly.
He wasn't the best candidate for us. That's true. I'm not pretending and fooling myself.
Right.
I'm just saying, let's not take a dump on him.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Let's take a dump on him.
That's kind of the way I feel about a lot of the libertarian candidates that ended up getting ran. They don't have to be perfect. And, like even Joe, like her campaign might have been a little dull, but we saw Joe 3 separate occasions. We met her. Like, I have nothing bad in any way, shape, or form I can say about her as a human being. She's amazing. She herself, like,
she was fun.
She was so, down to earth and, very, real. She was just a real person. And that's what I like. And so accessible. That's another thing too. Gary's open door policy. He wanted to become president. And then he said every single Friday he'd allow 500 people to come into the White House and sit down and talk to him. That's a great policy to have. We should have a president that wants to do that,
Well, and that's where that Twitter basis, the social media platform.
Well, yeah. And I guess that's the one thing, a lot of people used to hate Trump on for the Twitter. And I was like, at least people are hearing his mouth directly. It's not, there's no filter. It's the president directly.
Yes.
He might be saying some really stupid things, but that comes with the territory.
It does. I guess yes. I don't mind leaders who are human.
Exactly. Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't like the
fun.
ones that pretend not to be. That's the one thing that Barack Obama, you know, he was so silver tongued, and everybody has this very, they hold him up on this pedestal, and he was one of the most drone strikingest presidents of all time.
100%.
He funded.
He was worse than Bush.
Yes, he funded and weaponized the Mexican drug cartel through Fast and Furious.
He's worse than Bush.
There's so many things that man should be held to trial for. You can't put these people on pedestals, you know, like at all.
When you look at Clinton only like bombed Yugoslavians and stuff when he was like in political trouble. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm gonna get impeached. Let's bomb Yugoslavians. That'll do it. Now, not that that's a good thing, but relative to his, people came after him. That's high school work, right? That's not even professional work. That's like high school work, right? Yeah, sure. And then, George Bush came in and said, 9/11. Ho ho ho! Let us get going. And then Obama said, "Hold my beer. Let me show you what bombing's about. Yeah, let me show you how to bomb. You thought you could bomb. No, you thought you could bomb. Let me show you what bombing's about."
I'm Obama.
That's exactly right. I am Obama. Don't you ever forget that.
I wanted something really interesting too. Like one of the first months that Trump was president, he bombed in Syria and attacked an Iranian stronghold in Syria. And then now Biden did the same thing. Isn't that weird? That was the weirdest thing to me. Like right out of the gates, same thing Trump did, bomb an Iranian complex in Syria. That seems so almost like meticulous.
I literally had a press release 2 weeks ago where I said, the first thing you should do is right now end all sanctions and all embargoes unilaterally. Just end all of them right now.
Yes.
Don't bomb Iran. Open up trade with Iran.
Yes.
Don't bomb Syria.
Exactly.
And the embargoes against Syria and open trade with Syria. Don't yell at Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Sell him stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Because you know what? You're going to actually win over his people.
You got it.
That's what happens. You win over the people with capitalism. And then guess what? The country becomes capitalist.
I had a Syrian on my Sharpe Way show last Friday. I had a Syrian comedian on, literally out of Damascus, in Damascus.
That's awesome.
And he was talking about how his country's suffering horribly because of American sanctions. And he's like, I can't get a credit card, so I can't even sell merch on TV because like on my YouTube channel, I can't even sell merch. He goes, but my president and his elites are still doing fine in their mansions and in their big buildings. He says we have rolling blackouts. They have generators.
Yep. There's a reason why
it's only hurting us. It's not hurting them at all.
Yeah, there's a reason why the capital city of North Korea is the only place with power when you look on a nighttime power grid. You know, like that's a reason for that. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's not only because they're run under a dictatorial regime. It's also because they're isolated from the rest of the world. You know,
that's correct. Absolutely. I think those North Koreans would like a little electricity at night. I'm just saying. Yeah. I think they would.
Yeah, maybe some heat too, and maybe some
heat
food
would
that
be
isn't
nice
grass
too.
Bark,
absolutely, a little bit of food that would be good too. I don't think
dropping bombs. Let's drop food crates.
I love that. Yes, could you imagine if we flew missions over North Korea, gambled getting shot down, and dropped food?
Oh my God!
Like Milky Way chocolate bars or something, or whatever, right? Imagine that
uprising of the people in there.
You see the people all hopped up on sugar from chocolate and charging the palace.
Well, look at what's happening. Look at what's happening in Hong Kong. For God's sake, I mean, like they are waving American flags, shouting American slogans because they're trying to take down their own form of tyranny. And in a sense, we're over here like
locking ourselves down.
Exactly.
We're here going, no, tyranny. That's not a bad thing. What are we talking about?
As long as it's sugar-coated tyranny, it's fine.
As long as it's my guy giving me tyranny, that is totally fine. As long as it's my guy.
We can't let your guy come in here and give us tyranny. No.
Well, your guys can't have that tyranny, but mine totally perfect.
And cool thing historically, in a sense, to the reference of China too, and this whole dropping food crates. Historically speaking, there actually was a time where the Chinese had giant treasure ships and they took them around the world and actually delivered treasure because they had so much wealth they didn't know what to do with. And like that's a great, and there was stories told throughout many different lands of the Chinese who just came in these giant ships and delivered gold and gems, and like that's the kind of spreading of democracy. If we're going to spread democracy, that's what we should be spreading,
Well, imagine if you're in a highly competitive, and I'm being very serious here, chocolate market.
Sure.
Right? There's lots of chocolate bars that you could buy.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't know if you like chocolate, but if you like chocolate.
Who doesn't love chocolate?
You have many different bars that you can buy. Lots of chocolate you can buy. Imagine if the government made a deal with one of those and said, look, we'll fly you over there, but you got to give us the chocolate. We're not paying for it. You got to give us a chocolate. We've already got, an entire fleet over there already.
Right.
That can easily just fly right over there. And we're doing this stuff anyways. There's no extra cash. We're doing this stuff anyway already. We're already flying around there. Give us some chocolate bars. We'll drop a bunch off for you.
Right.
Not a bad deal, right? All of a sudden, if you knew whatever, I don't know, what's the cool Snickers? Is that the cool bar? Whatever it is. If all of a sudden you knew you were dropping Snickers over in, you might decide, we'll go buy a Snickers bar now.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's not bad marketing.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and truly too, when it comes down to like the rest of the world at this point sees this as a big old bully.
Yes.
And kind of a joke bully at this point. Yep. So like, don't you think we should be trying to change that image a little bit for the rest of the world? Because us, the American people, don't approve of the way that our government is handling our international affairs. So like, we as people, you and I are sitting here talking about dropping Snicker bars off, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. Yes.
We don't want to go kill some Iranian general. We're like, hey, what if we gave the Iranians some Snickers? They'd all be happy.
Exactly. Let's give them some chocolate. It's got peanuts. It's got protein, man. Come on, it's good.
Exactly. Who can argue with
good.
That?
Yes, I totally agree. But I mean, again, the point is, if we gave them much of chocolate or whatever the thing is, obviously, and the people wanted more of it, then they might trade with us.
They would, yes. They would desire it, exactly.
They might go, those chocolate bars were good. How come I don't have some in my local store? I'd like some Snickers in my local store. Let's start a trade deal.
And a country that exchanges goods and services does not exchange bullets and bombs. It's one of my favorite quotes.
There we go.
I love it. It's exactly what you're talking about, because if you have goodwill with that country, you're not going to be wanting to threaten to bomb them.
Well, I would ask, when has it worked?
Really?
When has it worked?
Yeah, we've been trying it for how long now?
Yeah.
I mean, when has it worked? I can't think of one time it's
interventionism never works, ever. It literally only ever breeds enemies.
It makes things worse. And not just that, when do the sanctions work? When do the blockades work?
Yep.
North Korea is nowhere near going away.
Yep.
Nowhere near going away. He's still fine. In fact, we're so worried about being righteous. We set up a situation to where there's no way that Kim Jong-un could go. I'll tell you, I actually have the plan. We can get rid of Kim Jong-un in about 3 months. Gone.
Let's hear it.
It's grossly simple. I'm not very serious.
No, yeah, let's hear it.
All you do is you first end all of the embargoes, all of the trades, all of it. You end it all. You say, if you want to trade, you want to cross over, go ahead. Second, you remove all of our troops out of South Korea.
Yep.
The reason why China will never allow the Koreas to unite is because then they will have American troops on their border.
Right.
That is the reason why they will never allow unification.
That's a great point.
It's not in China's best interest to have a broken up Korea, but it's worse to have U.S. troops on their border.
Yeah.
Then remove. We then tell China, we're out. We have removed every troop. We're gone. We are out of South Korea. We're out. There's not one American troop there. You want to inspect? They're gone. It's all gone. And we have no fight against North Korea whatsoever. Then we say, hey, China, do me a favor. Would you be willing to give up, say, about 40 acres or so, somewhere in a cool area outside of Shanghai, maybe, for someone like the Kim Jong-un family to live? And they go, yeah, we would do that. Awesome. Hey, Kim, you want to pack up, take whatever billions you've stolen from your people, and just pack up and take the people who you love and head over there and live there? Just go live there. Live the rest of your life right there. All good. We'll leave you alone. What's nothing. Can you just do that? He would do it. The reason why Kim Jong-un doesn't leave, where is he going to go?
Yeah, it's true.
Where is he going to go? Right now.
A joke as it is, he doesn't have the same desires that his parents and grandparents.
Of course not. He wants to live a good life. A major city like Shanghai.
Yes.
He probably speaks Chinese already.
Yes.
Let him take his $5 billion or whatever he's stolen from. Who cares? And then once that happens, there's no one in North Korea. So what will happen? the Koreans will figure out how to unite.
Yeah.
How do I know that? The Germans did.
Yes.
The Koreans will figure out. We don't even have to be involved.
No.
If you want us to be involved, ask us. We will assist if you ask. Otherwise, good luck, guys. You'll figure it out.
They are their own people.
It will be a pain. It will be tough. It will be difficult. And it's their problem. And they can have their country back.
Yes.
Done deal.
Yes.
Yes. They'll have their country back. Literally, you can fix that. How do I know that? Idi Amin died in France. Idi Amin, the dictator of Uganda, was offered asylum in France. He took it. And he died in France.
Yep.
This has happened before. Yes. We can do that. It's not crazy.
And China's a terrible place, and he could definitely fit in there. So,
well, no, he'll be in a modern city, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
You put him in some modern, like Shanghai or whatever, some modern city.
Yep.
He'll have $5 billion. He'll be one of their oligarchs.
Yeah, he'll have a palace. Exactly.
He'll be fine, and he'll live out his whatever years, whatever.
He wants to hang out with basketball players and celebrities.
Yeah, and exactly. He'll watch NBA games, whatever. Yes. He'll do that stuff. He'll be fine. And the Koreans can now get their life back together and fix their country and do what they got to do and be there. And we can pull out of North Korea. Done. We've just solved the Korean problem. It can be solved. Yes. You want to solve the Iranian problem? Similar issue.
It's true.
Leave them alone.
And get out of the Middle East, period. Because
and we have an example of this too. Vietnam.
Yes.
We fought in Vietnam for 10 years. We dropped more bombs in Southeast Asia than we dropped on Germany in World War II.
That's crazy.
Yes, there are still people to this day, this year, people will still lose a limb because there's a mine someplace in Vietnam today.
Yeah.
Now, 75, we left in 75. That's when we finally walked away.
So crazy.
Lost that war. We lost 60,000 dead and at least 200,000 wounded. And you look at PTSD, maybe even more. Who knows? And over 2 million of them died. Yeah. 2 million of them died. And you know what happened 20 years later? They were our trading partner.
Yeah.
Right now, you can buy furniture in your local shop from Vietnam.
Right.
So just walk away from Iran. 20 years from now, we'll be buying stuff from Iran, whether furniture or the rugs, right? Carpets, Persian rugs. Yeah.
Right.
We'll be buying Persian rugs from them 20 years from now. Just walk away. That's the answer. As Humongous said in the movie Mad Max, just walk away. Just walk away. That's it. Just walk away.
I herald that. That's awesome.
Yes. And we do that.
Breaking it down that way.
20 years from now, they'll be a trading partner. Yeah. That's it. And here's the best one. If you work in the Middle East, oh my God, the Russians might get involved. Good. Like they did in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck, Russia. Go in there. You'll teach us a lesson. Go ahead and show them. No worries. Oh, the Chinese will do it. Good luck, China. You'll teach us a lesson.
Not our business.
Not our business. And China won't get involved anyway. China's the savviest of them all. This is Cold War II.
Yeah.
Right. Cold War I was with the Soviet Union.
Yep.
And that was much more of a hot war. The fear was nuclear. There were proxy wars. Vietnam was a proxy war. Korea was a proxy war. Proxy wars all over the place. Well, we won Cold War I, but we were too incompetent to figure out how to win the peace. So we won the war, lost the peace, and now we have Cold War II, which is against China. And the big thing here is not nukes anymore. It's cyber.
Yep.
The bad part is with nukes, last time we had the huge advantage. Cyber, China has the huge advantage. Mm-hmm. We are losing Cold War II right now.
Yeah.
Because cyber is the big deal. But cyber isn't just the punching of each other with cyber attacks. It's also cyber attacking our culture.
Yes.
With all of the stuff on Facebook and Twitter. Most of these conspiracy theories that pop up, they're not American.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
Because when it came to the Cold War I, the Soviet Union was senior and China was junior. And China helped in little things, like China would help fund the Vietnamese or help fund the Koreans. Now it's reversed. Mm-hmm. Now China's senior, Russia's junior, and Russia funds Ukrainians and Poles to attack us in Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all these QAnon things. None of them are American.
God. Yeah, no.
They're all Polish or Ukrainian.
Philippines too.
Philippines. They're all that funded by Russians.
Yep.
So Russians have become junior in Cold War II. We're losing Cold War II. Mm-hmm. And people will tell you we're not. We were winning Cold War I from day one. We were ahead after World War II, and we were winning the whole time. It was a matter of time before we won that war, and we won it. We're losing Cold War II. If we don't make changes, we're going to lose it.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing is what that looks like.
And I'll tell you what it looks like.
Rolling into that like 5G AI world. That's like.
Well, what did it look like when the USSR? What did it look like when they lost? They broke up.
They collapsed. Yeah.
If we lose, we will break up.
Yep.
This is
Which
Cold
won't be
War
the
II.
worst thing, to be honest.
That's how it works.
I mean, we kind of need a bit of a shakeup, but it sucks because unfortunately that could be the perfect opportunity for some of these enemies to take, in a sense, to infiltrate, you know.
And that's what happened in the USSR.
Yeah.
What happened in the USSR, right? In theory, they all got democracy. In theory.
Right.
In practice, most of them just became dictatorships.
Yeah.
Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine. Ukraine's probably the most democratic of those.
Yeah.
Belarus is not that bad. I mean, it's bad, but not that bad, right? The Baltic states are relatively democratic. They're pretty good. But most of the other republics, they all just became dictatorships.
Yep.
Russia became a dictatorship.
Yeah, right.
So.
Still kind of is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
the thing that people don't realize is there's a lie that a lot of people say. They say democracy is great because democracies very rarely war on each other. That's actually a lie. Bad democracies are a bigger problem. Yeah. Don't forget something. Imperial Japan, democracy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Nazi Germany was the Weimar Republic, democracy.
Right.
These are democracies.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's the majority
North
rule.
and South in the Civil War, both democracies.
Right.
Yes.
So democracies war on each other. They absolutely do. And when they do, it's actually worse.
Yeah.
Because the people have to be behind that war.
Mm-hmm.
When there's no democracy, the king can be behind the war and the people aren't, in which case the war ends. 1917 Russia. The war ended, even though the Tsar was still on it, because the people were like, we're done. But in democracy, the people are behind it, or you can't go to war. So the war lasts longer and it's bloodier.
You have to manipulate the people.
That's correct.
The culture.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So broken democracies are actually the worst.
Yep. Which is where we are today, people.
Correct. That is my worry.
If you're wondering where we are.
I'm sorry. Did I give you like doom and gloom? I apologize. It wasn't my goal.
You're good. No. You're good. We like to just kind of have a free flow conversation with all of this. So it's been great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and it helps a lot of like viewers to piece those puzzles together to like connect those dots and help them understand it in another light. So it's great.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of went to, hour and a half. I don't want to take too much of your time here tonight. We really appreciate you coming on to the broadcast.
Of course.
If you'd ever be open in the future to coming back on, we'd love to have you on for more conversations.
I
kind of wanted to talk to you about your, future in politics and stuff. So maybe we can save that for another conversation.
Sounds good.
But
right now, if anybody wants to see me, please follow me on all the interweb stuff the Sharpe way. I'm on all of them: Twitter, Instagram. I'm actually even on TikTok, believe it or not. But yes, I'm on all the things: LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, MeWe. I'm on all of them. So please follow me on all the things because you never know when I get canceled.
Yes, and we will post a link to everything in the comment section of all the videos that we post up. So to make sure people see where you're at. We've been following you for a long time. We hope other people have enjoyed this conversation with you, and we'll check you out as well because you have a lot of very valuable things to add to the conversation. So
thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great evening, sir.
All righty.